Welcome to Team Perry's Step Out of Line podcast, featuring co-hosts Perry and Lori Finkelstein. For our podcast, Perry's voice is represented by a communication device, or rather AI technology, to ensure that all can hear and understand her speech. Together, they explore, meet, and share inspirational stories with guests who have made a positive impact in today's world. This podcast resonates with our hope to make this world a better place one step at a time through love, acceptance, and uplifting conversations.
I got cancer in 2021 and had a year of treatment. And after that, I kind of had an attitude of like, you know what? I'm not going to be a slave to my job. I'm not going to be a slave to an office. I'm going to do what I want. And so we ended up leaving New York. We moved to Palm Springs and we bought an apartment in Italy.
When you say we, you
Me and my husband, he's younger than me. He's 3 years younger than me, not that much. But when I left the corporate world, he decided to also leave. And then I became an entrepreneur. I have to be busy. It's like you want to be engaged. You want to be doing something. So I actually started my clean beauty brand. And then that was in 2020. Then I got cancer in 2021. Then I launched another business in 2022. But I really love having the flexibility of being able to do it from wherever. Like I could be here, I could be there. I don't feel so chained to my work anymore, which was really starting to just add to stress in my life, which I definitely did not need. I slaved away for 30 years, building everybody else's businesses for them until I kind of was like, wait a minute, why am I doing this for all these other people? This is crazy, But so many people fall into that trap of complacency, and you just do it and you're in a routine and it's hard to break out of that, and you just kind of grind away. And then before you know it, you're old. You can't do it anymore. I mean, shit. My mom's going to be 86 this year. And she's like, where is it all gone? Where's all the time gone? And of course, I'd love for her to come to Italy, but it's too hard for her.
Right. So you're there now because you can. And why not?
It was different back then. She got married, different sort of time in terms of what women's roles were. My dad was demanding. He was an only child. He was not the easiest for my mom to deal with, but she was so great. And they were happily married for 50 years, but she never really had a life to her own.
What specifically do you do in corporate America in New York before you said that?
Yeah, I was working in the advertising industry. So I did it for almost 30 years, and I worked my way up from a receptionist to the CEO of a big global agency. But it sounds way more glamorous than it actually is. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of negativity because when you're at the top, all this shit goes up to you. No one's ever calling you up to say thank you. It's like you're dealing with fires, you're dealing with lawsuits, you're dealing with HR problems. It just was really not why I got in the business. I really got in the business because I like this idea of using creativity as a business tool and solving problems. Honestly, that's fun for me, but I wasn't really doing that anymore. I was dealing with a lot of bureaucracy and minutia and stuff that was driving me nuts. And so I had gotten to the point where I was just really not happy. And my husband said, why are you still doing it? Just quit. And I'm like, what? I can do that? I can just quit? Because you don't really think that's an option. And then I ended up quitting and then launching my own business and all that. But it is liberating when someone kind of gives you the permission, because I wouldn't give it to myself. I'm too hard on myself. When you're in a corporate job, if you have seniority and you're in a position where you're leading a lot of people, you also feel responsible for them. And there's a lot of people that I had brought in, that I had hired, and I just felt like I can't leave them. That would be awful. And so it took me a long time to wrap my head around that, probably 2 years longer than it should have. But I obviously eventually was like, yes, I need to get out of here. And the thing is, For a lot of people, that's their identity, it's their work. And for me, people ask me, like, don't you miss it? And I'm like, oh my God, no, I don't at all. I'm shocked at how little I miss it. I thought I might miss it a little bit. No, I don't miss it.
So the premise of our podcast, stepping out of line in your life. So how have you stepped out of line? It seems that you already told us a number of situations where you stepped out of line. Do you think that to be an entrepreneur, you have to step out of line? Is that a given?
Yeah, it kind of is. I mean, I'm 58, right? So when I was sort of in high school and then in college, it was sort of expected that there was a certain path. You went to school, you got your degree. Now, that's not really the case. I mean, I've got a 24-year-old and a 22-year-old. My 22-year-old flunked out of high school, and she's now about to go to art school in New York City, but she took 4 years off. It'll be 5 years before she starts school, and that's okay. I think people are more forgiving of circuitous journeys. You can kind of meander your way around to figure out what you want to do now. So it's not as much stepping out of line. Now I think it's more common, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I think when I grew up, it was not. Even to the point where I grew up in Chicago, and I was recently reconnected with like some of my high school friends. No one left. Like people just stay there, and 99% of the people that went to my high school still live in our little town. I'm one of the few people that left. And so it's like you just sort of find yourself in this role and it's hard to break out of it, I think. But I do think now it's a little easier. Like there's less stigma if you want to do something different with your life. It's easier as a Gen Zer to say, I'm just going to be a digital nomad. People would have laughed back then, right?
Can you tell us about the company that you launched in 2020?
I have a hair care brand. We have a Japanese ocean botanical seaweed that basically gives your hair weightless hydration. So like you get volume and you get healthy hair, which usually those things don't go together. It took about 10 years to get the formulas developed to make them do this. It was like an oxymoron. Weightless hydration doesn't go together. So we figured out how to make it work by putting a powder format of our seaweed in our formulas, which allows it to act like a sponge. So it literally just hydrates your hair, but doesn't give it the weight and the density to make it flat and greasy. So that was our solve. And we launched at New York Fashion Week in 2020. And my first challenge was, it was a month before COVID. It was February. And then we had COVID hit. And then I threw the business plan out the window because
like everybody
can't get into salons like everybody. We did a lot of partnerships that first year and a lot of trying to build our business organically through word of mouth. I don't have any investors, so this really is a labor of love. I'm full on all the time. And then in 2021, a year in, I got breast cancer. So then I had a very rare, aggressive stage 3 breast cancer that literally popped up in 3 months. I'd had a clean mammogram 3 months before, and I had an 8-centimeter tumor. I had surgery, radiation, chemo. And then when I was coming out of that, I was reflecting on my business. And this is one thing cancer is good at, forcing you to think about prioritization and what you want to do with your life and how you want to spend your time, hence Italy. But I was thinking about what worked for my business and how to keep my business going. I mean, we are still just a baby. And I realized the brand partnerships I did during COVID were just so good for the business and also good for me mentally. Like having a support system of other founders that you could talk to about stuff and that you could pick their brains, or if you're having a challenge that you don't know how to deal with it, you have somebody to talk to. So I formalized that and I started another company, which is now called the Power Beauty Collab, which is about 50 indie beauty and wellness brands. And we do a lot of co-marketing and retail activations to help each other grow. And we do monthly meetups. And it's just a really helpful group because any challenge somebody's going through, if one of our founders just was sued, it was a stupid compliance thing on her website. Now you have to have a privacy statement, a terms of service statement, a this, a that, and the other thing. There are these people that come after small businesses to make sure that you have all that. And it's so easy to get caught because it's so hard to stay on top of it all. There's always things changing. And then all of a sudden California requires this thing. So you're always trying to figure all that out. And she ended up just dealing with this lawsuit. So like the group was very helpful in kind of giving her advice and helping her navigate that. It's just a very supportive, good group of people. I'm here in Europe where they ban 1,300 ingredients in beauty products. Do you know how many they ban in the US?
I'm afraid.
11. Like certain states have added to that, like California has a few more,
Right.
but across the US, it's shocking. You could have formaldehyde in your mascara. And also like in the hair care products, people go, oh, but what's the big deal? You're just washing it off. It's shampoo. It's like, no, you're scrubbing it into your head and your scalp, which is super absorbent. And there's sulfates, which can give you allergic reactions and endocrine disrupting, parabens, there's phthalates, there's all sorts of things. People don't realize just the extent of the difference, I guess, between, and when you're over here in Europe and you see how the food is made and the beauty products are made, there's more thought that goes, I shouldn't say it's thought because I'm sure in the US it's thought too, but it's also driven by money. Like sulfates are cheap. Like you can fill the bottle with detergent in your shampoo and not have to have really high quality, good for you ingredients.
Regulations, I assume, then are different in the United States than they are overseas. And that's why America can get away with producing different products and different qualities.
There's some stories about how certain cereals that use dyes in their product in the US, when you go to Europe and get that same cereal, the colors look very faded. It doesn't look the same.
Because they're flavored like with rhubarb or beet or, like the different
Correct.
colors they get differently.
Kind of shocking when you get into it. But the beauty industry not only has this huge disparity between sort of good for you in various countries, but then of course there's the plastic problem we have in the US where a lot of beauty packaging is not very recyclable. So it ends up in landfill. Even if it's technically recyclable, a lot of municipalities won't take black plastic or certain types of plastic that has finishes on it or whatever, and it ends up in landfill anyway. Small brands like mine are trying to do the right thing. Like we're really trying to make products that are really good for you, good for the environment, ethically sourced, pay a fair wage. We get our ingredients that are super high quality, and it's just hard because you're fighting an uphill battle against these big brands that don't care about that.
I know Perry, when she started her foundation, she learned to source out legal, financial. She knew a little bit about everything, but she knew that she was not a specialist. The legal ramifications of her creating a foundation. And she is a marketing major. She has an MBA marketing. So she knew she had that. She could do all the social media, all the marketing, all the promotion, but everything else she sourced out. Do you source out anything from your business?
I'm like Perry in that my marketing is more where I lean.
Right.
I don't love all the compliance stuff. I mean, I do the sales taxes and I'm sure I do it wrong. I know I do it wrong, but I do my best. I'm trying. I mean, it's tough. It's very much a family business. So my brother, thank God, helps me with all my fulfillment because he's really good at that. He had a printing business for years, so he's very good at the shipping and the logistics side. So he handles all of that, which is a godsend. Again, not my strength. And my niece is really good at operation stuff, so she helps me there. And she also is very good handwriting, so she does some handwritten direct mail for me. She'll write notes to our best customers and things like that. I think that's another thing. A lot of women think you have to know it all, like you have to figure it all out yourself. And it's impossible. And it's always changing. You can't stay on top of everything all the time. It's too hard. Even if you just focus on social media. I mean, Perry, you know this. It's like the algorithm changes constantly. Every day there's a new thing and you're trying to keep up. And it's like, oh, what is Meta doing now? Oh, now they're changing. It's like, it's impossible. I like being busy and I like having a lot of balls in the air. So for me, it's kind of weirdly enjoyable. But there's certain things that I just really don't want to do, like the taxes. That's not fun.
So you've been through a lot in your life. How do you think resilience plays a big part in your story? Did anything or anyone help you? What got you through it?
I was lucky and unlucky at the same time that one of my very good friends had breast cancer a year before me. And She's a nurse practitioner and she was working for an oncologist at the time. And I was living in New York City and I had this lump show up under my arm that was like about the size of a ping pong ball overnight. And I was seeing my OBGYN the next day anyway, just had an appointment. And she took a look and she goes, "Oh, I think it's from the COVID vaccine." And I'm like, "Really?" Because I had that like 5 months ago. Like, really? And my friend was the one who said, "I don't like it. It doesn't look good. We need another opinion." And sure enough, they were like, "Oh no, this is not good." So I probably would be dead if it wasn't for my friend because it was so fast growing. And like I said, it was a very rare cancer that if I had waited, which is what my OBGYN told me to do, it would not have ended well. So that friend though has been a great resource. So when I was diagnosed, she like would read through all the reports that I didn't understand because that medical terminology is tough for a layperson to try to understand what it means and what stuff is serious and what stuff isn't and what stuff do I have to like do something about. So she would read through all of my reports. She would tell me what questions to ask the doctor. Her son also has basically a fatal disease. He's 22 and he's in a wheelchair with a breathing tube and a feeding tube, and he's deteriorated, I mean, significantly. Wonderful kid, absolutely delightful kid. She's used to digging into very hard to find situations and finding a silver lining. And she started telling me, "Okay, you got to take a couple of supplements." One was metformin, which is a diabetes drug. I don't have diabetes, but it eliminates sugar in your system. And sugar is one of the things cancer loves to feed off of. So she actually started giving it to her son also. She had done some research on his condition and thought it could help. And he's been taking that. And then Coriolis mushroom is turkey tail mushroom. That's the other one. And then fukodoin, which is a Japanese seaweed. So I take those 3 supplements, but then I also really cut back on alcohol. I try to be way more active, like yoga, walking, just trying to stay active. And I definitely try to make way more time to de-stress my life. So spending more time with my family and my friends. And I'm convincing my brother and his wife to move out to California, where I am now, because they were in Chicago, which is where I grew up. And I'm like, you don't want to deal with those winters in Chicago anymore. And it takes an effort. You really do have to make an effort. But to spend time with family and friends and making that a priority. So now, like, I really make an effort to check in with my friends I haven't seen in a while. We try to get together in person. I just connected with one of my high school friends. We went and saw the Violent Femmes in concert, which we saw in high school. I think it was their 45th year reunion tour, something crazy. It was just so fun. It's easy to get caught up in the stresses of like the everyday life, but you got to schedule in the fun too. You got to make it a priority.
Otherwise, it goes by so quickly, and before you know it, you missed out.
Can you share one thing that nobody knows about you?
There are people that know this, but it's not like it's a widely known thing. But I ended up spending 30 years in advertising, but I actually went to school for criminal justice. I wanted to be in the FBI. What I realized later is that they're actually not that different. It sounds crazy because you think advertising and then FBI. In marketing, you'll understand this, Perry. Problem solving, right? When you're trying to think about how to position a brand or how to tell the story or how to bring it to life and social media, it's really about trying to solve, like, getting the psyche of a consumer's head. And I mean, that's kind of what FBI agents do too. That's, I think, the appeal for me is like trying to solve people. You really have to understand like human emotions and instinct and our thought process and all that. I do think I would have made a really good Clarice Starling, but oh well.
That was a scary movie. Like, I love watching like Homeland. I love watching shows like that, which she can't stand. It's too much for her.
If it really happened to me in my real life, like I would completely freak out. But I can watch someone else doing that and it's
So much
fascinating.
fun. Right.
Yeah.
I know the feeling.